Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev and devnursery.com. Make sure to head over to devnursery.com. But in this video, what I want to do is talk about error handling for APIs. So I'm going to open up VS Code. Okay, I'm going to move the Chrome over here, so that was just better lined up. And basically what happens is, you can make API calls, but how do you handle like them going wrong? Like how can you do that? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to create a quick HTML file, index.html, and then do all that, set up my boilerplate. Good. Just close off all of this. Okay, I'm going to put some JavaScript in here. I'm just going to actually put like a quick just div in there for posterity. Okay, and then I'm going to put a script tag. Script. Okay, now usually what we do is we would fetch, and we'd fetch from some website like https www.google.com. And then we would just go through this whole process of getting a response. And we say like res.text or res.json or res.blob, whatever you want to do. Okay, in this case, I'm just going to return the text because I know Google's going to return me HTML. So I don't want to do res.json. And then I can, eventually like console log the data. Now, again, this is not a lesson about how fetch works. This is going to be more about error handling. So this is something that you already know how to get stuff with fetch. You want to handle what happens when something goes wrong. Okay, so now if I were to open this up in another window, okay, and I go look in the DevTools to go see the result of this. Okay, well, see, here I got a CORS error. So I did get an error. Okay, and this is a CORS error because Google doesn't want me like making an API call to google.com. I don't have permission. So that's what it's saying. Basically saying, hey, Google said you're not allowed to do this. Okay, but the user on the page would never know that there was a problem. Okay, now I could just show them the error message. Now the way you handle there's a couple different ways I can do this. Okay, but generally what you'd want to do, okay, is there's a couple of things you would want to do. Okay, one thing you may want to do is that in your .then, in your initial .then, you may want to check, hey, was the request successful? Okay, so in that case, you're going to say, hey, we're going to put some curly brackets here. We're going to say, hey, if res.status okay equals, if res.status equals okay, because generally that should be okay if it was successful. Okay, in that case, then you would go in back and like return, let's say res.text. Okay, and then that would play out. Okay, but no, there's an error, right? So let me console log what we get so we can see what is happening. Console.log res. Okay. Doesn't even let me get that far? No. Console.log res. Actually, am I getting it? Looks like the CORS error is kicking in before that. So let me just try this. Like, let's say blah 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 blah.com. Okay. Uncaught error in promise. Failed to fetch. Okay. So really, then you're going to want a .catch. Generally, you're going to handle the error with a .catch. Okay. Because the issue here is that the request is failing. Sometimes the request has an error, but the request went fine, and that's when you check if the status is okay. Because then what happened is that the fetch actually played through, but there was some sort of error, and you would check. And then if goes fine, then you would go forward. So this is like, let's say in Django, where you have like Django server errors. So if you get server errors, the request is going to play out like it was successful, but it wasn't. So then you can go here, and then you can throw an error with like the status.text. Okay, but right now it's not going to be successful. We'll come back and take a look at that just to show you that in a second. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to use this error. Okay, so what's going to happen is .catch is going to run if there's an error, and it's going to submit an error object. Okay, and what I can do, one thing I can do is I can console.log the error. And what I want to do is do like error.message, because every error has a message property. So if I do that, so you see here, I get that same message. And the reason why you want to do a catch is that if I don't do the catch, or like I don't handle the error, then my whole program just stops. Like all the JavaScript just stops happening. Okay, so in that case, if they're in the middle of some application, like let's say you're playing a game and the game just shuts down, it's because it was an unhandled error. So the game wasn't able to kind of continue because there was no way to handle that problem. Okay, so basically, since that error was handled by .catch, my code's able to keep going. Okay. Now I could console log it. The thing is that what if I want the user to see the error? So maybe instead I alert the error message. Okay, failed to fetch. But maybe I find the pop-up too annoying. So another thing I could do is I could go put it in the DOM somewhere. So in that case, I have that div. I could just be like, document.query selector, grab the div, and then I'm going to change its inner text to error.message. Okay, and you see, like now I have put it on the DOM. So you might actually have like a special place where you'll put errors in case errors show up. You might style it, make it like look nice and pretty. But again, this error shows up. This will handle the error at the end of the day. Now let's take a look at a situation where an API call maybe goes wrong for a different reason. Okay, so if I type in www.devnursery.com, let's see what kind of response I get. Okay, so in this case, I didn't get an error. Okay, so that means good, wonderful. Okay, but they didn't go to didn't get to this console log either. Okay, so let's see here. Let's console log. Well, not even console log res. Let's see here. Let's refresh. Okay, so let me see why that would just kind of get stuck there. Actually, here I know why. Main.devnursery.com. There we go. Okay, so in that case, I'm getting a CORS error. Okay, so let me go to dummy data. Netlify.app, I think it is. Yes, perfect. Okay. So I have these like some little basically dummy API endpoints for practice. So if I make this the page, okay, and I go back here and I return and see right now I'm getting the data. And see when I console log the response object, okay, I'm seeing I get the add okay, I get the redirected, I get the status. Now the status text would be what's important, okay, because if I had an error, so let me try to do like something that doesn't exist. So I'm going to say Mario, I want to add an extra S, okay. Well, see, I still get the response, but notice now it says 404, okay, so there's a problem, okay, error not found, okay, but you see nothing's printing here because this error wasn't necessarily, it's different. The request went through, so the .catch never handled that error because it had nothing to do with the request. It wasn't, the error didn't happen inside like the .then or the fetch. Okay, so what I want to do here is I probably would want to show that 404 in the status text. So in that case, what I would do is I would say here, in this case, where the if doesn't play out because it wasn't okay, because again, if the request fails, so you notice the okay is false, not true. Okay. And actually that tells me that this if statement should change anyways. There should be res.status and just be res.status because it's true or false. Or actually it should be res.okay. Res.okay. So if it's okay, then you go forward. If not, then you don't. Okay, 404. Okay. So what I would want to do is do a throw. So I'm going to throw an error, and then I have to throw the error message. So then what I want to do is like say, hey, res.status, res.status text. Okay, so that way, okay, although I guess I get undefined, which is interesting because I'm throwing a message. Okay. Another way I could end up doing the same thing is I could just throw a new error. Although I want to do that with an uppercase E. that should probably get me the response I want. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you see now, when I throw a new error object, so throw is just going to say, hey, I'm throwing a new error. So treat this as an error line. And then I'm throwing something, and what I'm throwing is a new error object. And then this new error object becomes this, what error catches in. So before I was just throwing in a string, so error was just a string. Now, since I'm throwing an error object, this is going to be an actual proper error object that has a message property. And then message property is going to be whatever string is inside here, and then the dot catch handles it. Because again, if the error is thrown inside the dot then or during the fetch, so during the request, the dot catch is going to handle it. And then I can make it show up on the screen, I can make an alert, I can console log it, I can do whatever I think is best. But I can handle it so that way my code doesn't just stop. So hopefully that helps you think about sort of like error handling with APIs. My name is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. Have a great day and enjoy.